Namaste Sudame Spuraditi Damne Tvadiyodarayata Vishwasya Dhamne Namaste Sudame Spuraditi Damne Tvadiyodarayata Vishwasya Dhamne Namaste Sudame Spuraditi Damne Tvadiyodarayata Vishwasya Dhamne Namo Radhikaya Tvadiyapiyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tvadiyapiyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Ishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabhiyo Lokalathavamanam Param Vrishtam Matyantato Dhrutya Gopya Yashodabhiyo Lokalathavamanam Param Vrishtam Matyantato Dhrutya Gopya Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. Ramuna Prabhu, you are muted.
Mute Ramuna Prabhu. Oh, sorry. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. We are so fortunate that you have come, and we are really grateful that you could make it. And we offer our prostrated obeisances virtually at your lotus feet.
Maharaj.
Yeah. So we are so fortunate, Prabhuji. We are with us Sridhama Saka Prabhu. Who just
Hare Krishna, Sridhama Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Swaroop Damodar Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining us. So, for the pleasure of all the devotees, I have this wonderful service of just doing a small introduction of you, so that everyone, I mean, of course, most of the devotees over here would know you, but still, just a short introduction. So, Swaroop Damodar Prabhu, he is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He has been associated with ISKCON Chopati since 1992. That's almost 30 years he's been connected with Krishna consciousness movement. He hails from a Rajasthani family, and he was, from his very childhood, he was a very good singer. And then he joined ISKCON in 1992. He joined the Brahmachari Ashram. He was, one of the preachers and very wonderful kirtan singers in ISKCON Chopati. And then he went into Grihastha life later on. But by that time, he had already made a great mark in the hearts of all the devotees with his extremely beautiful, very melodious voice. Many of the bhajans that our acharyas have composed, this is my personal opinion, he actually gave life, more life to those bhajans by putting beautiful tunes and recording them. Those initial recordings of the bhajans and kirtans sung by Swaroop Damodar Prabhu actually went all over the world. I mean, everyone, stood up and took notice. Who is this wonderful devotee who sings so very beautifully? So, currently he is staying in Dubai with his wife and his children. And by profession, also, he is a teacher. He is teaching music to children. He's teaching music, devotional music to children and to adults. And he has made many devotees, as kirtaniyas. Like he is one of the world famous kirtaniyas within ISKCON, one of the most sought after devotees. He has also made many more devotees kirtaniyas. He is also the elder brother of our own Ashtakam Prabhu, who many of you would know had started this program in 1998. He's the elder brother of Ashtakam Prabhu. It's definitely a great privilege to have him amongst here today. He's going to be speaking to us in Hindi, all the way directly from Vrindavan. So he is in
I'm
Vrindavan
not
Dham.
speaking Hindi, Prabhu. I'm
You are speaking
speaking
English,
only
great. Okay.
because my mother is, she won't be able to stay up.
Okay, no problem. So Prabhuji will be speaking to us in English. However, the special feature is he's going to be speaking to us all the way from Sri Vrindavan Dham. So he'll be bringing all the blessings of Sri Vrindavan Dham and mixing it with the Damodar lila and the Damodar ashtakam towards the end. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to Swaroop Damodar Prabhu. Thank you so much once more for being with us and giving us your wonderful association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sridhama Saka Prabhu, for your kind words. My only genuine qualification is that I am your servant. Rest everything is just causeless mercy, which I never deserved, by Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada. I thank everyone here present for being with us this evening, giving your valuable time and giving me your wonderful association. So I'll start with the invocation prayers and then we'll begin. Am I audible, Prabhu? Am I clear? Everybody can hear me?
yes, Prabhuji, yes.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले Swayam Rupakada Mahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. It is such an honor for me to be addressing all of you today in this holy month of Kartik from the holy land of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Before I start, I would like to just go to the gallery and see all the wonderful devotees. If it is possible, you can turn on your videos for a few seconds so I can see. Thank you very much, everybody. All the love that I have received from all of you in all these years, I am so grateful. So grateful to our beloved Guru Maharaj for accepting me in his shelter and allowing me to be of some use in this life. Today, I would like to speak from one wonderful verse from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita. We will try to elaborate a little bit on that verse. And then I would like to also speak on the glories of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We are celebrating his divine disappearance tomorrow. For me, this festival holds a very special place because it was around this time in the year 1977, and because of my mother's sincere desire and because of the causeless mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we all had the good fortune of being in Sri Vrindavan Dham in the personal presence of Srila Prabhupada. We had darshan of Prabhupada for 3 continuous days. I was 8 years old, so I don't remember much, but I still do have a faint memory of seeing this very elderly sadhu in the wheelchair. He was brought into the temple room, and then hundreds and hundreds of devotees, the Gurukuli children, they were all dancing and chanting. It was Sandhya Arti time. So we all had ashtakam. Prabhu was only 4 years old, and my mother remembers everything very clearly because she had beautiful darshan for 3 continuous days. We came in the evening during the Sandhya Arti time. So I thought that we are celebrating Prabhupada's disappearance day tomorrow. So why not discuss the unlimited glories of Srila Prabhupada? So I would like to start with this wonderful verse from Bhagavad-Gita. Yad yad acharati sreshthas tad tad evetaro jana. Sayat pramanam kurute loktis tato vartate. Read the translation. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Whatever action a great man performs, common men will follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Purport. People in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said that a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra, scripture, to teach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures like Manhu Samhita and similar others are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leader's teachings should be based on the principles of such standard Shastras. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by the great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on this path of spiritual realization. The king or the executive head of the state, the father, the school teacher, are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. Glass. So this is a wonderful verse where Lord Krishna is bringing up a very important point to Arjuna. You are a great soul, Arjuna. You are a leader. How you behave will affect the society. The society in general will follow you, will follow your example. All of us here in Kali Yuga, in the present age, have very well experienced this on different levels, that how the society, how our human society becomes influenced by anyone who is in some kind of leadership position. This is so unfortunate that in our present society, people who are looking up to these personalities are unfortunately the most degraded in their characters and in their principles. This has been predicted, this has been explained by Prahlad Maharaj, Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu durashayaye bahirarthamanina andha yathandaya upaniyamanas tepisha tantryam urudam nibaddha. People who are completely blinded by material sense gratification, who absolutely have no regard about the real swartha, which is Vishnu Gati, which is to try to understand and surrender the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such completely blinded personalities are leading the others who are also blind. And in this way, the human society is going down in the dumps. And this is why it is so important that this whole process of setting a good example for others has to be very seriously considered in our lives. It all starts from an individual. Within an individual also we can see the individual, this body, as explained in the Bhagavad-Gita, is the kshetra, is the field of activities. And who is the leader? The mind. The mind, which is considered to be the king of all the senses, is the leader and governs everything that happens in this field of activities. And this is why the Lord repeatedly says, Man mana bhavamat bhakto. Engage your mind in me first. If you engage your mind in me, the senses will follow. So this whole principle of leadership begins within us. When the field of activities, which is in one sense ruled by the mind, is properly engaged under the instructions of a higher authority, then automatically there is order, there is law and order. And then from individual it spreads to other individual, it spreads on a social level, on a national level, on an international level, and on the level of the entire human race. In the Bhagavatam, there is a beautiful verse in the 11th canto, one of my favorite verses. Nirdehamadyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam mayanukule nabhasvateritam paman virache natare sa atma. In this verse, Lord Krishna is very beautifully explaining how it is so important that every human being follows a captain, a leader, a karnadhar. And who is such a karnadhar? Such a karnadhar is one who is mayanukulena nabhasati, who is always leading the society according to the winds of the Vedic injunctions given by me. Maya anukulena nabhasati. Anyone who has been born as a human being who is not taking the advantage of following under the guidance of such a Karnadhar, such a spiritual master, is the killer of one's own soul. So it's extremely, extremely important that we have role models who we can look up to and then try to follow in the footsteps of these role models. Without role models, human society is not a human society. And one such great role model that we all have is our beloved Srila Prabhupada. It is impossible for an insignificant soul like me to even try to do any justice to the unlimited glories of Srila Prabhupada. But because we are all gathered here on the eve of Prabhupada's disappearance day, I thought whatever I have been reading, whatever I have been hearing about Srila Prabhupada, I'd like to share with all of you. Because with this sharing about the glories of Prabhupada, so much purification takes place. Even though we may have heard these beautiful pastimes, we may have heard about Prabhupada, still it is extremely important that we take out special time to discuss and glorify Prabhupada. Prabhupada is considered to be the preeminent scholar, acharya of our sampradaya. For many of us who may have joined recently or who may have not heard so much about Prabhupada, it's important that we study Prabhupada's life. We understand, we try to understand the great sacrifices Prabhupada did for all of us. Because surrender to a great personality happens from the heart. And unless you try a heartfelt attempt, unless you make a heartfelt attempt to know who this personality is, that surrender will be a very superficial surrender. And as it happens many times that we join, we start chanting, we do so many things. But if the surrender is not becoming deeper and deeper day by day, as we can see in so many other great personalities who are followers of Srila Prabhupada, our own beloved Acharya, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, every time he speaks about Prabhupada, it is such an amazing experience to be witnessing the love that pours out of Gurudev's heart. That happens only when the love for Prabhupada is getting deeper and deeper day by day. So it is my humble request that all of us should take out special time to discuss about Prabhupada, to share about Prabhupada, to tell everyone about Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada is indeed the greatest acharya, the greatest Vaishnava acharya that walked on planet Earth. Before I start sharing some beautiful pastimes, I would like to read a quote and then I'll discuss that story. Please hear carefully. If I say that neither in the past nor in the future will there be an acharya equal to the acharya of the Hare Krishna movement, I won't be committing an offense to the founder of my line, Ramananda, because in his commentary, Ramananda himself predicted that Vishnu worship will spread around the world and that the whole world will take to it. As you can see, this quote has been from a personality who is not of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. I'll tell you the story now. This story beautifully highlights the position of Srila Prabhupada even in the eyes of those who are not directly part of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, and how much love and respect Srila Prabhupada has awakened in the hearts of everybody. So this is in December 1976. Prabhupada is in Allahabad, Kumbh Mela. And Prabhupada is, of course, it's 1976, so you can imagine Kumbh Mela is extremely cold. It's January time, it's very, very cold. I remember my first yatra was with His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj to the Kumbh Mela in 1992 itself, when I had just joined and Maharaj took a few brahmacharis to Prayag. And it was, what an experience. But I still remember the biting cold weather. So the devotees would not allow Prabhupada, of course, to go and take a dip in the Triveni Sangam. So Prabhupada was in the tent giving darshan, and it was Ekadashi day. So Prabhupada was talking to the disciples, the devotees, and he said that on Ekadashi it is very good to have lotus pods fried in ghee. Now, what is lotus pod? You know, these makhanas that we eat on Ekadashi? We make makhanas. That is what is lotus pods. So Prabhupada, as soon as Prabhupada would say something, the devotees were so excited. Somebody immediately, made preparations to go to the market to buy these lotus pods for Prabhupada. And within 2 minutes, a Ramanandi Brahmin, along with his 9-year-old son, came to the pandal. And he sits in front of Srila Prabhupada and he opens a little cloth bag. He opens it in front of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada puts his hand in it and he smiles and says, here it is, lotus pods fried in ghee. So this Brahmin had brought lotus pods for Prabhupada. So while having the lotus pods, Prabhupada was very happy, and then he spoke to the Brahmin and he said, so, have you taken your bath in the Triveni Sangam? So this Brahmin, Ramanandi Brahmin, he takes out a pot and he has come with all preparation. He places the pot at Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. And he says, Prabhupada, I have come to take the bath in that Sangam. What will I take bath in that Sangam when you are here? And he places Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet in the plate. And he starts pouring and starts doing a charanabhishekam for Prabhupada. Prabhupada is very pleased, he's very happy. And then after he finishes the abhishekam, he sprinkles water, and all the devotees, disciples of Prabhupada, they were so excited that what an amazing mercy in the morning of Ekadashi in Allahabad. Because, generally it was not so easy to get Prabhupada's Charanamrit like that. But because this guest had come, so Prabhupada allowed it. And then, when he was wiping Prabhupada's lotus feet, Prabhupada said, give me your son, I will make him an acharya. That 9-year-old boy was sitting next to Prabhupada. next to this person. So he said, yes, Prabhupada, whatever is mine is yours. You can have him. But now he is doing his Vyakaran Shiksha. He's learning his Vyakaran. Because he has to confront all these Mayavadis. So he has to study the Bhashyas. That's why I'm training him in Vyakaran. Because this was the instruction of our acharya, Ramananda. I said, no need of Vyakaran and all. Just give him to me. I will make him an acharya. Prabhupada, he was a little insistent in his way. And this person said, yes, Prabhupada. He's too young now. Let him grow up a little bit. Then I will give him to you. So Prabhupada started laughing. But then Prabhupada did something really nice. The boy, he was sitting next to Prabhupada, started rubbing his head. He said, "Theek hai, theek hai." He let him go. And that was maybe about 10 or 15 minutes of meeting. Prabhupada's desire was, I will make him an acharya. And he rubbed his head. And guess what happened? That boy, when he grew up, he became one of the most celebrated acharyas of the Ramananda Sampradaya. At a very young age, he was famous in the entire Sampradaya for reuniting the Sampradaya. So after about 15 years or so, our devotees were again in Allahabad and they heard that the Ramanandis have a huge tent and there is a big felicitation of this young sannyasi acharya who is responsible for reuniting the entire sampradaya, because what happened was his sampradaya had broken into different pieces and everybody was doing on their own and nobody was really collectively trying to do anything for the mission. And there was a great need that someone would come and lead and bring the entire society, entire mission, sampradaya together so that they could render service and work towards the mission of their acharya. And it was this sannyasi who was able to do. So our devotees decided to go and see him in the tent in Allahabad. And there were some children who were from South America, Africa, South Africa, and some other white children. As soon as they saw this young sannyasi sitting on a high platform with so many 3 times of his age, big sannyasis and other devotees who were fanning him and worshipping and glorifying him, when they saw this sannyasi, they started glorifying in the sannyas mantras. Loudly, these South American boys started chanting Sanskrit mantras, and everybody was so impressed to see this. When that sannyasi saw these young children, he stood up. And then on the spot of the moment, he started composing beautiful Sanskrit poetry, which meant this: if I say that neither in the past nor in the future will there be an acharya equal to the acharya of the Hare Krishna movement, I won't be committing an offense to the founder of my line, Ramananda. Because in his commentary, Ramananda himself predicted that Vishnu worship will spread around the world and that the whole world will take to it. This way, he glorified our beloved Srila Prabhupada so wonderfully. And then he welcomed the devotees. And Atma Tattva Prabhu was one of them. He said, do you remember me? You would take me on your shoulders. And you remember that day when Srila Prabhupada was insisting to my father that give your son to me and I'll make him an acharya. But somehow my father, because he wanted me to be trained in Sanskrit, he didn't give me. But Prabhupada rubbed his hand on my head That is why I say that whatever little bit I have been able to do is because of Srila Prabhupada's grace. This was Prabhupada. This was Prabhupada's potency. How did he get this potency? Devotees, I feel so blessed that I started this project of recording Prabhupada's Lilamrit. Rebuna Prabhu just remind me, I'll share the first chapter. And while recording the Prabhupada Lilamrit, I've heard it so many times. We used to read every day in the Brahmacharya ashram. Every time we read Prabhupada Lilamrit and we read about the struggles of Srila Prabhupada, it's unbelievable. The amount of love that Prabhupada has to fulfill the mission of his spiritual master. It's unbelievable. There's one episode in which Prabhupada writes that when he heard from his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to preach in the English language, the very first meeting, he took it so much to his heart. And over the years, he was preparing, he was writing, he was doing so many services. Whoever he would find, he would preach. He was trying in his own way. He was still a businessman, he was a grihastha, he had children. But still, because his love for his spiritual master was so deep, that Prabhupada, wherever he got a chance, and then he realized, when his spiritual master appreciated his writings so much, he realized that my Gurudev wants me to write. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, whatever he writes, publish it. After he read the poem. So Prabhupada started writing the commentary on the Bhagavad-Gita as it is. When he was a householder, he started writing the commentary. And how many of you know this, that he had completed the full Bhagavad-Gita as it is, as a grihastha? And then what happened? Finally, he found a good friend who was also a medical rep, and they were talking, and he said, I'm looking for someone who can sponsor so that I can publish this book. So he said, okay, I know one Mr. Alagappa. He's a very big person in South India. He's like the Birla of the South India. He said, I'll take you to him. You show your manuscripts to him. If he likes it, he'll do it in no time. So, they all met, and he was very impressed to see Prabhupada's manuscripts, handwritten purports, the entire Gita. And then Prabhupada came back. And then after a few months, he said, okay, he's ready. Now you can send the manuscripts and he will publish it. When Prabhupada went back, what did he see? The entire set of manuscripts was gone. It was gone. Devotees, just try to imagine the amount of hard work that Prabhupada had put in it. It was all gone. Prabhupada could never find it. Prabhupada later on, he wrote in his book that it was probably one of his family members who sold that for some money. But Srila Prabhupada did not give up. He didn't say that, okay, that's what Krishna wants, I don't have to do it, I guess. Krishna doesn't want me to do it. He didn't say that. He took up the project once again, and not only that, so many other books. Badri Narayan Maharaj, a very, very wonderful personality, if you have ever heard him. He just, whenever he speaks, it's pure nectar of Prabhupada Katha. He was narrating once that he was in Brooklyn, And this was in the early days, the Brooklyn Temple. They had a facility where there was a separate area where Srila Prabhupada's quarters were. But that area was not a very quiet place. You would often find a lot of people, and sometimes even devotees would be around chit-chatting. So Rameshwar Prabhu was the temple president at that time. He said that we would like to have some silence for Prabhupada when he's working in the night. So let's have a guard. So if you find anybody chit-chatting or making any noise, you make sure that they are away and Prabhupada can work peacefully. Now, I have myself, before I heard this story, I'm sure many of you would have had the same thought in your heart that how nice it would be if we could see Prabhupada working on the purports. I mean, we read Prabhupada's purports day in and day out. So many times we have read. But to be seeing Prabhupada writing the purports, that would be definitely an amazing experience. Badri Narayan Maharaj was at that time a brahmachari. So he was given the shift from 1 to 3 in the morning, 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. And he was sitting and chanting. Prabhupada's room was closed, the lights were off. Prabhupada was resting. 1:30 a.m. the lights come on. Prabhupada comes to the room, clicks the light open. And then Prabhupada sits on his desk for his translation work. Pradyumna Prabhu was Prabhupada's Sanskrit scholar, disciple. He was, doing a lot of Sanskrit work for Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was checking all that. And Badri Narayan Prabhu at that time, he was sitting in the dark because, it was pitch dark outside and there was only Prabhupada's light. So he was thinking, wow, this is such an amazing opportunity for me to see Srila Prabhupada in his room doing the translation work. He was just super excited. And then he saw, this was his own, experience which he saw with his own eyes, that Prabhupada would read the Sanskrit, whatever Pradyumna Prabhu had given. He would make sure that everything was correct. Then he would start translating it. And the way Prabhupada was translating, that he was first reading from 8 different commentaries. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sridhar Swami, Jeev Goswami, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, so many commentaries he was reading. Then he would sit back like this, lean back, think for a few minutes and then write. This is how Prabhupada has written every purport. So Badri Narayan Prabhu he's narrating, he's remembering that I was earlier chanting slowly. I was just chanting softly, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But when I saw this, the way Prabhupada was bringing in so many scriptures, he was referring with so many books, and he was writing, I was getting so excited, and I didn't realize that I started chanting loudly. Like this happens many times. Sometimes when chanting, you remember something in Hare Krishna, Krishna, we become a little more excited, and that's how Badri Narayan Prabhu became a little more excited. He was thinking that this is such an amazing fortune. All we have to do is just pick up the books and start reading. Prabhupada, he's bringing all the nectar from so many books. Just like, he was giving an example of how when the glaciers are melting, they form into little streams and they mix into the Ganga, and then the Ganga is flowing into the ocean. So this is how Prabhupada is bringing together all the nectar, and then he's giving us everything. All we have to do is just sit and read. What an amazing fortune. And he was chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. He was chanting really loudly. And that time, something really amazing happened. Because the window was open and Prabhupada took the glass of water that was there and he splashed outside to tell him to keep it low. And he was saying, wow, this is, he realized his mistake, but he still remembers that episode, that how Prabhupada, indicated to him that I'm doing some work. So keep it low. If you're chanting, chant softly, you're disturbing me. Something similar was narrated by Harikesh Maharaj. Harikesh Maharaj was, at that time when he was a brahmachari, he was serving Prabhupada in Vrindavan. And all of you have seen Prabhupada's quarters in Vrindavan. So when you enter, there's a reception desk, right? And then you enter further inside, and then there's Prabhupada's quarters. So Prabhupada was the same way in the night, in the middle, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, was working. So Harikesh wanted to, indicate to Prabhupada that I'm also here, I'm awake. Because he had heard so many pastimes, Prabhupada, in the night, he's sometimes in a very nice mood and he will shower some mercy. Like HG Prabhu had narrated this story that Prabhupada once in the night rang his bell, and HG Prabhu had come inside and said that you can see that bug there? See that bug? He's trying to climb that little desk. He's not able to. He must be really tired. Give him a little sandesh, pick him up and take him outside. So he was so happy. Prabhupada is so concerned about little bug. So how much love he should be having for all of us. Just imagine. So in this way, there were so many little anecdotes of Prabhupada that would come out in the night, that Prabhupada gave me this mercy, that mercy. So Harikesh was thinking, I have this service today, so let me also try to get some attention. So he was deliberately pushing the furniture here and there and making some noise. So Prabhupada would notice that he was outside. And sure it happened that Prabhupada called him inside and said, why are you making so much noise? He was thinking that Prabhupada will call him and talk to him something sweetly, but Prabhupada was very serious. He was very grave. Why are you making so much noise? Don't you realize I am writing these purports? I have to be very carefully. I'm thinking every word. These books are going to stand as the law books for the entire human society for the next 10,000 years. Repeatedly, Prabhupada said that 2 times. These books are going to stand as the law books for the entire human society for the next 10,000 years. We can see how much Prabhupada, now when we just pick up a book, we can't realize, we cannot imagine what has gone in it, in the making of that book. Next time you pick up a Bhagavad-Gita, please remember that story, that how Prabhupada had lost the entire manuscripts of the full Gita and then he rewrote the whole thing. And we are talking about, he's not copying something, he is meditating upon every verse. He's trying to write down everything with all thought. That's not easy. I would like to close with a very, very amazing pastime which many of you may have not heard, which again brings out this fact, this truth, that how much Prabhupada is present with all of us. For those of us who have complete faith in Srila Prabhupada's mercy, in Prabhupada's teachings, Prabhupada gave us the best gift by creating ISKCON. One time, one reporter asked, can you tell us something about Krishna's incarnations? And Prabhupada's reply was, ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is the incarnation of Krishna in this age. Prabhupada, with his own hands, crafted everything for us. The morning program, the Mangalarti program, Srimad Bhagavatam class, everything. Prabhupada said, this is like the bulwark against Maya. It will hold Maya away from you if you continuously perform the morning program strictly. The 16 rounds of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare. The 4 regulative principles. How many Bhagavad-Gitas could ever do that? I mean, there's so much we can share. One time, one devotees, Tamal Krishna Maharaj had met one scholar from the West who was actually leading a particular department in a university about Vedic studies, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj happened to ask him, have you read the Bhagavad Gita? And he said, of course I've read the Bhagavad Gita. So what is your conclusion? What do you want to do? So when Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked this person, he was a little puzzled. What do you mean, what am I supposed to do? He had no idea that the Bhagavad Gita is a book for practical application. He had never thought it in that way because the commentaries that he had read never had anything like that in them. They were just scholarly, bombastic words that people have written, and this is what Prabhupada was pointing out. How many people have become devotees? There is a story of one. Prabhu, we have to wind up in 5 minutes, right? There is a very interesting story about this Tarun Kanti Ghosh, which I would like to share with you. Tarun Kanti Ghosh is actually a Bengali Vaishnav whose grandfather was a disciple of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Now, he had come to meet Prabhupada in Calcutta. So he was telling how he met one very amazing yogi. And he was telling Prabhupada, I saw with my own eyes, there was no sleight of hands. Right in front of my eyes, he was just wearing a dhoti, a gamcha, nothing else. And in front of my eyes, he created a German apple. And he was so amazed. He was again, German apple from nowhere, Prabhupada, I saw with my own eyes. Now, Prabhupada wanted to get a point across this person. So he said, I came to America with only $7, 40 rupees, which I never converted. $20 I got by selling one set of Bhagavad Gita on the Jaladuta. When I landed, I knew no one. I had no help, no support from my god brothers or anybody. I was all alone. I picked up a pair of kartal, went to the Tompkins Square Park in New York City. And I closed my eyes and I started chanting. And then Prabhupada said, from that chanting, so many devotees came. And then they started spreading. They started preaching. So many temples came. So many yatras, Rath Yatras came. All over the world now, so many deities are being worshipped. There are so many temples, so many hundreds and thousands of devotees are worshipping Radha and Krishna. In every temple, there are so many apples. We are making apple halwa, we are making apple sauce, we are making apple cake. Prabhupada started laughing. This was Prabhupada's style. He was so amazing. He was so witty. And everybody broke into a laughter. That yes, this is the real magic. You all have heard that story when one magician came, that was also in Vrindavan, and all the devotees were enjoying with Prabhupada. Prabhupada was also very happy, and he was doing so many tricks and disappearing this, disappearing that, disappearing a pigeon and reappearing the pigeon. And then finally Prabhupada said, "Can you make birth, old age, disease and death disappear?" And he bowed down and said, "Prabhupada, I can do that." This was Prabhupada's magic. So, yeah, that pastime I was going to share. I'll just cut it down and I'll tell it quickly. This I heard from devotees in New Vrindavan. All of you must have heard about the Palace of Gold in New Vrindavan. Now, there's a very sad history related to New Vrindavan, which I won't go into details. But there was a time when New Vrindavan drifted away from Prabhupada's shelter, and there was a lot of deviation, a lot of hodgepodge going on. So what happened was, in those days, New Vrindavan was very popular. The Palace of Gold was super popular. It was called the Taj Mahal of the West. And bus loads of American tourists would come to see the Palace of Gold. So one day, one old elderly lady is standing in front of Prabhupada in the Palace of Gold. And she's with the group, but the group has separated and they are separate somewhere else. And then she is just looking around and she hears a voice. And the voice says, "Take my shoe." Now she's completely puzzled. Who said that? To whom? And then again she looks at Prabhupada and she hears the voice again, "Take my shoe." And this time it was very, very clear and very emphatic. It was very appealing. So she realized this is this person speaking to me. And there was Srila Prabhupada's shoes. She picks up one shoes and keeps her in a bag and she walks away, not realizing what she just did. And she just leaves. Devotees, when they come and they see that Prabhupada's shoe is gone, everybody is searching, where is Prabhupada's shoe? Where is Prabhupada's shoe? Prabhupada's shoe is gone. Almost 4 years later, they received a call from this lady. The temple president had changed. Everything had changed by that time, by the efforts of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, Niranjan Maharaj, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. New Vrindavan was completely changed back, and everything was again according to Prabhupada's standards. And they had pleaded and pleaded and pleaded to the GBC of ISKCON that please accept New Vrindavan back into ISKCON, because it was Prabhupada's very, very dear project. And after seeing that Niranjan Maharaj and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and Radhanath Maharaj all were involved in it, they finally, in the year 1994, accepted New Vrindavan back into ISKCON community. That is when the phone call came from this very lady. She was a Catholic woman, elderly lady in her 60s. She said that, "I would like to come and return what I took from your temple." And she came and she narrated the story to the devotees that a few days back I got the dream. And the same person, she didn't even know the name. And the same person came in my dream and said that, "Take my shoe back. Now it's time to go back to my palace." She did not understand anything. She said, but the voice was so appealing again that I could not hold myself. I had to come. She returned the shoe back to the Palace of Gold. A very powerful story. Prabhupada is very much here with all of us. ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada's body. And all we need, like once Radhanath Maharaj, he was distributing cookies to us in the Brahmachari ashram. And he said, "You have the highest philosophy the greatest shelter and the best association, the highest philosophy of Krishna consciousness, the greatest shelter of Radha Gopinath, and the best association. Be grateful and you'll realize it. If you're not grateful, you will never realize it. So all we have to do is always be humble and grateful to what Srila Prabhupada has given us. And in this way, whatever we may be, whatever progress we may have made, we may be full of faults, as long as we are holding on to Srila Prabhupada, we still have hope. So with those words, I will close my short presentation on glories of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all very much. Sorry for going a little over time. I offer my sincere prayers to Srila Prabhupada here in Vrindavan to shower his unlimited blessings upon all of you, your family members, your children, so that you all can always remain in the merciful shelter of Prabhupada and his wonderful disciples. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So, Remuna Prabhu, you can tell me what's next. What you would.
Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhu. That was really so absorbing, and then we couldn't move an inch from our places. We are glued to the to hearing you.
Prabhupada
So amazing.
Katha is like that.
Yeah. So amazing. Thank you, Prabhuji, for addressing us and then blessing us. We are really honored and really fortunate that you have come, taken out your valuable time. With just one request, you could give us such mercy. So we are really fortunate, we can consider that way.
I am the servant of Rasamit Prabhu, Sridhama Sakha Prabhu,
Yeah.
Remuna Prabhu, all of you.
Yeah. So I was just meditating.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you can give us one night for describing the glories of Srila Prabhupada. Now you are stopped, our hearts are trembling.
Yes. There are so many amazing pastimes of Srila Prabhupada that's one of my most favorite topics of discussions whenever I address to talk about Srila Prabhupada. It is
The
something
way
very,
you are
very.
narrating actually as if we are in that place, physically witnessing all those wonderful pastimes. We are feeling that way.
Thank you, Murli Govind Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So you can allot some time, Prabhuji, any time whenever you are leisure. So even our group also would like to hear from you.
Yes, sure, Prabhu. Whenever Krishna arranges, I will be there to serve you all.
I will be in touch with you, Prabhuji. Please.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much once again.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Just the concluding session, I think you are also getting delayed. We don't want to hold you much longer. Now we are gathered here. Some of us are gathered here. You can see we are in the house of Gajanan Naik Prabhu. So one of our devotees here and the congregation group.
Hare Krishna, Jana.
So their family is hosting the Damodar Aarti today. Every day we have one of the devotees hosting the Damodar Aarti. See, last year and this year we were doing this online. Earlier we used to go to physically all the devotees, each devotees we used to call. So we used to physically attend every day on Kartik month, and we used to play your bhajan, the bhajans sung by you, and that's how we got attached to you somehow. this year we could, I somehow, Prabhupada inspired, as you said, inspired me to just, invite you so that, we are using your album, but we are not expressing gratitude to you. So let us take this opportunity. Online is a facility where wherever you are, you can at least get you online. So that way we thought, and then we requested and you honored that, and then we are so kind of you, Prabhuji, that you come
Thank you
here.
so much.
So
Thank
now
you,
today
everyone.
we now at the end we will request you, if you can,
I will.
sing
Sure.
the Damodar Arti,
Yes,
and
yes.
we will be performing Arti over here. All the devotees can watch. So we have another laptop which is showing the altar, wherein devotees will be performing this Arti. So,
Yes,
and
sure.
after that we can conclude. So, Sridhamasaka Prabhu, anything you want to say? Before we just.
Ramana Prabhu, sorry to disturb you. There are few devotees from USA also watching this program. You can just get them introduced to Amara
Oh,
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Swaroop
USA.
Damodar Prabhu.
Yeah, there is Haridas Varya Prabhu who is here. Vaman Hari Prabhu also is there. There are several devotees. In fact, they had a program at 1 hour back, 2 hours back. They had a program, and after that they joined. I requested them, why don't you also join? So they are joined. So we are grateful to all of those devotees who joined from other parts of the country and especially US.
Thank you, Prabhuji, Ramana Prabhuji, for inviting us. It
Thank
was
you.
a great privilege to hear from Swaroop Damodar Prabhuji, because I hear the songs and I always cherish, it's so amazing. I mean, enchanting to the ears. Like, I always like the songs, and thank you very much for inviting.
Hare Krishna. So thank you everybody. I think let's move to one of the highlights of our satsang today. We're all waiting to hear the nectarine Gandharva-like voice of Swaroop Damodar Prabhu, who will be chanting the Damodar Ashtakam now. So without further ado, Prabhu, back to you, and we'd love to
Hare
hear
Krishna.
the Damodar Ashtakam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. So I'll be using my Bluetooth speaker for the background arrangement. I don't have a mridanga player or a kartal player or a harmonium. So I hope you are able to hear me. Just let me know if you're able to hear the mridanga. Can you hear?
Yes,
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 Prabhu.
Prabhu. You can hear.
नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् यशोदाभियो लोकलाघवमानम् परामृष्टम् अत्यन्ततो धृत्य गोप्या यशोदाभियो लोकलाघवमानम् परामृष्टम् अत्यन्ततो धृत्य गोप्या रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्र युग्ममृजन्तम् कराम्भोजयुग्मेन सतङ्कनेत्रम् रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्र युग्ममृजन्तम् कराम्भोजयुग्मेन सतङ्कनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्पात्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठ स्थितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धम् मुहुश्वासकम्पात्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठ स्थितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धम् इतिर्दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषितज्ञेषु भक्तर्जितत्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे तदीयेषितज्ञेषु भक्तर्जितत्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षवधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेषदपीहा वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षवधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेषदपीहा इदं ते वपुरनाथ गोपाल बालम् सदा मे मनस्याविरास्तं किमन्ये इदं ते वपुरनाथ गोपाल बालम् सदा मे मनस्याविरास्तं किमन्ये इदं ते मुखाम्भोजम् अत्यन्तनीलय वृतं कुन्तलय स्निग्ध रतश्च गोप्या वृतं ते मुखाम्भोजम् अत्यन्तनीलय वृतं कुन्तलय स्निग्ध रतश्च गोप्या मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्ब रक्ताधरं मे मनस्याविरास्तं फलं लक्ष्यलाभे मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्ब रक्ताधरं मे मनस्याविरास्तामलं लक्ष्यलाभे नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जलाभिमग्नम् नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जलाभिमग्नम् कृपा दृष्टि वृष्ट्याति दीनं बतानु गृहाणे क्षमामज्ञा यद्यक्षि दृश्या कृपा दृष्टि वृष्ट्याति दीनं बतानु गृहाणे क्षमामज्ञा यद्यक्षि दृश्या कुबेरात्मजौ बद्ध मूर्त्यैव यद्वत् त्वया मोचितौ भक्ति भजौ कृतौ च कुबेरात्मजौ बद्ध मूर्त्यैव यद्वत् त्वया मोचितौ भक्ति भजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकाम्य प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेस्ति दामोदरेह तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकाम्य प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेस्ति दामोदरेह नमस्ते स्तु दाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायाथ विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमस्ते स्तु दाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायाथ विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायाय त्वदीय प्रियाय नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यं नमो राधिकाय त्वदीयप्रियाय नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवयतुभ्यं हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामो 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधा जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधा जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौर निताय जय गौर जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल। श्री श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की जय। दामोदर अष्टकम की जय। श्री सत्यव्रत मुनि की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। HPCL भक्त वृंद की जय। How many are from HPCL here?
It will be a mix, Prabhuji. It will be a mix. The devotees from HPCL, BPCL, Tata Colony, Tata Power, RCF, and some from other areas of Chembur also. So a lot of people mix. There's some on YouTube, some over here. So it's a mix. But
Please convey to everybody that we are all also trying towards HPCL. Highest perfection is chanting with love. Highest perfection,
Haribo.
chanting with love.
Haribo,
HPCL.
Haribo.
So HPCL is the goal of all of our lives.
Excellent, Prabhuji.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful thought, Prabhu. Thank you.
This thought
So,
came when I was chanting the Hare Krishna mantra just now. I am singing with HPCL Bhaktagan. What is HPCL? मैं सोच रहा था HPCL क्या है? हिंदुस्तान पेट्रोलियम तो है मालूम है, लेकिन हमारे लिए क्या है HPCL?
Highest perfect.
Highest perfection is chanting with love.
Chanting. Prabhuji,
Hare
that H is for us. We can change hope. We hope one day we can do that.
We will all do that. So
thank
thank
you.
you all very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, so much. We are so grateful to you for, we are also privileged actually. Maybe the story that you started with, that you spoke about how your mother, took you met Srila Prabhupada. Maybe like that sannyasi in the Ramanand Sampradaya, maybe Prabhupada, rode his head over your head also. rubbed his hand over your head also, which is why you
Lava, it is said, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So we were, although we didn't have, enough, I would say, punya to surrender at that time, but Prabhupada's association definitely purified us, purified the whole family.
Absolutely. So it's such a privilege to have you, on our satsang here today. We're so grateful to you on behalf of all the devotees who have attended today. This recording also will be shared with others. So on behalf of all the devotees, we're extremely grateful to you for taking out your time and sharing with us these wonderful realizations, wonderful stories and katha of Srila Prabhupada on the eve of his disappearance day. So we're very grateful to you, and we would like to express our gratitude in our traditional style by loudly chanting Hari Bol.
Haribo, Haribo,
Haribo. Thank you
Please,
so much, Swaroop Damodar Prabhu.
Chidama Saka Prabhu, please convey my dandavats to your father, who's very, very dear to us, Mr. Bhanu Prabhu. We are so.
He is also here. He's also listening.
Oh, is here? I see.
He's also hearing the lecture.
So honored to have Mr. Bhanu Prabhu also here present. Your whole family has been so kind and so loving to me right from the day I stepped into the temple. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Lemuna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
So,
We are really thrilled and very ecstatic feeling. So thank you so much.
So with the prayers that all of you have a wonderful rest of the Kartik month,
yes,
I'll take your leave now. Hare
thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ramana Prabhu, Vamanhari Prabhu wanted to say something.
Hare Krishna, Ramana Prabhu and Murali Govinda Prabhu. Because of you, I could attend the program this morning. In the beginning, I was kind of disappointed. I started right on time, but the program was maybe a few minutes late started. Then I joined, and Prabhu took us to so many places, Prayagraj, New Vrindavan, and Prabhupada translating the books, and Ramanandi's pastime, so many things. It was wonderful. And he also took us to Satyavrata Muni's prayers and all that. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vamanhari Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Vaman Hari Prabhu is one of the most senior devotees, eldest of all the devotees. He is very elderly also.
Just by age, Prabhu.
No.
Just
Elderly also, and elderly in spirituality also. So just he wanted to present his gratitude.
Is the true embodiment of
I don't know if you, Ramana Prabhu, I don't know whether you all remember, but I have come to HPCL.
Yes, Smith Krishna Prabhu Matav, yeah.
many years back.
Many years back. We were toddlers that time. Maybe we infants or may not be joined also. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी डेली आपका कैसेट तो हम रखे दामोदर आरती करते हैं आज आपका आवाज से डायरेक्ट
associate.
So we did Damodar Arti. It was little late today. Normally we finish it by 8 o'clock, but I waited because I know you are going to sing that song today.
Thank you for waiting.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I think it's all.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
pranam. Thank you.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hari bol, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhuji.
Jai Swaroop Damodar Prabhu ki.
Jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Sridham Saka Prabhu, Ramana Prabhu, thank you so much for this wonderful